Backlash. We had a really solid card at Backlash. I know that's a thing. So, yeah. But no, seriously, I did enjoy this PLE. I thought it was very solid. I think you compare it to either the two nights of WrestleMania, I might have enjoyed it more. It was a concise card, but it did what it had to do. So welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean, and this is my review of WWE Backlash 2026, or Backlash Tampa, from Tampa, Florida. And I'm recording this Monday, May 11th. It's around 5:30 in the afternoon, so I haven't seen Raw tonight. This is probably going to come out, almost indefinitely will come out after the May 11th Raw. So there might be some stuff I don't mention that happened on Raw, but it's because I haven't seen it yet, no matter when you see this. So let's start off. Okay, the first match, we had Seth freaking Rollins versus Bron Breakker, with Paul Heyman in this corner and eventually other members of the Vision as well, too. Now, this was a solid match, and obviously I think it's going to be a series because, as I predicted, Bron Breakker won. He didn't win directly through interference. There was interference. It wasn't a completely clean victory because there was interference from the Vision. Not a return of Bronson Reed, but Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And shortly after that, Breakker did win. There was a lot of back and forth. There were a lot of false finishes. There was some stuff from Seth and Bron, looked a little botchy. I'm not sure if it was. Maybe that was intentional. I enjoyed this match. I thought it was well done. It was as good as it could be. And I think it was the right victory. I love Paul Heyman's expressions in the corner every time Bron came close to losing. The thing is, this story sort of has petered out a bit for me. It might have been better to do this at WrestleMania and move on to other stuff, but it was still enjoyable. I mean, the in-ring work was, of course, an A+. The crowd, this Backlash crowd, was really into it. I'd say they're an A+ too. The in-ring storytelling was solid. The overall story, though, it petered out a bit, and just like, even though like I shouldn't really take that much away from that, I think I will. As far as the matches on the card, it was solid, but it was probably the one I was the least interested in. I'm going to give it, B+. Maybe they can do more things to get me back into this story. It just seemed like this was sort of oddly placed on the card, but it was still a solid, although not stellar, opening match. Then for the United States Championship, the champion Trick Williams, accompanied by Lil Yachty, defended against challenger and former champion Sami Zayn. Now, we can't really talk about this match on its own unless you throw in all the Gingerbread Man stuff. Now, the funeral for Gingerbread Man, it was cheesy, and it was just one of those things you had to accept. And the whole point of that, I realized, like, it was like, why is this main eventing SmackDown? Well, it was main eventing SmackDown because Sami Zayn and Trick Williams were main eventing SmackDown. And I think that segment, that build, and this match is further showing Sami Zayn losing it and maybe cementing that heel turn, because he's still a heel who thinks he's a baby face, and maybe it's becoming clear that he's not. He was sort of losing his mind. So I'm very interested in where we go with that. As far as this match, I think it was better than their WrestleMania match. Sami got really aggressive. I don't think he did anything outright cheating, like he was at one point. Although he did some heelish stuff, like he was sort of playing possum and showing his leg was injured, but then he just when Trick comes in, he just attacks him, tries to pin him right there. There was Blue Thunder Bomb. And Sami also got really aggressive with Lil Yachty, who was doing like the sort of like, I mean, he was sort of the manager at the corner trying to interfere because he's Trick's manager now, but you know what? He's still lovable and he wasn't doing anything too heelish. So Sami just like clobbered him and then went after him again when he wasn't even attacking him. So Sami's showing how he's losing it. I think Sami is leaving this feud now, which I'm glad that he's going on to other things. I wanted him to lose this match, not because I'm not like a huge Sami Zayn fan, but because I wanted the US title to go somewhere else and Sami Zayn to maybe go after someone like Cody or someone like that and become like a top main event heel. And I don't think he'll do that by staying in this feud, but this feud definitely did its job. And the match was really well done. For the story leading up to it, even though it's it's kind of cheesy, kind of controversial, I'd have to give that story, the continued story of Sami Zayn, an A+. The match was good. It was maybe not. It was better than a WrestleMania match, but I'm gonna give the match a solid A. Wasn't the best match, but it was still really well executed and good storytelling, especially with Sami Zayn, and Trick is doing his part. And then we had Danhausen and a mystery partner versus Kit Wilson and The Miz. Now, the night before on SmackDown, they did this whole thing with Danhausen taking advice of Kit and Miz to basically clone himself, interpreting the advice. And my brother caught something that I didn't. At one point, we all saw him sort of by the Bellas, but by Brie Bella and Paige when they were heading to a match. And what he did was he actually took a bit of Brie Bella's hair because he thinks the Bellas are clones, so it's going to help him with his cloning. Of course, the cloning only half worked because we got Mini Hausen, and it was a mini Lucha Hausen because Mini Hausen was played by Mascarita Sagrada from AAA, someone who I've actually seen, I believe, fighting Omos, and the crowd at first was like, oh, it's just going to be this, it's not going to be some celebrity, but it was a celebrity in the makeup just from AAA, and the crowd eventually got into it because he took on Kit Wilson and he was knocked down, but he got back up like The Undertaker took on Kit Wilson and The Miz, and he's really good. This guy fought Omos, and he was really impressive in the ring. Eventually, Danhausen gets in. There was some, at one point, he tries to curse Kit Wilson, but Kit Wilson puts up a mirror, so the curse goes back on him, and he almost gets pinned, but Danhausen comes in. So many beats that were just so well done and funny. This was a comedy match, but it was a well done, and it worked within the world, this match. And at one point, Kit Wilson throws Mini Hausen back into the cloning machine. We hear buzz, buzz, buzz. We think thinking it's going to be like maybe Omos, or maybe I don't know. I mean, Obafemi's a little too big. CM Punk's it'd be hilarious if it was one of those guys, but or just a bigger guy, maybe Jelly Hausen or something. But no, he came out as all the Mini Hausens, and they attacked Kit Wilson in full view of the referee. They swarmed him. But if you actually go with the story that these are in storyline clones of Danhausen, these are just clones of that same clone, it's technically all the same person, so it's technically not outside interference, so therefore no disqualification. The fact that it works on that level is amazing. And at one point, Mini Hausen does one of Wade Barrett's moves, and Wade Barrett just lost it on commentary. He was just decrying this whole thing like he does on SmackDown. Michael Cole was loving it. There was a bit with a fire extinguisher, and of course, Miz is trying to get the fire extinguisher working. Of course, it doesn't work, but it works on him, and it works on Kit Wilson too. And Danhausen gets the victory. You know what? This match is I thought it was going to be. This was exactly what it needed to be. This was even better than it just being a celebrity appearance, one of the big established stars. It would have been fine if it was that too, but I think this was even better. I think this is the perfect way to use Danhausen. This was it wasn't just a little let me up. It was a comedy match. It was a fun match, a good placement on the card, in-ring storytelling, in-ring work. The crowd, eventually, they took them a while to get into it, but they got into it. Overall, A+, no complaints. I'm a Fanhausen. My brother tried to get me for my birthday. By the way, Backlash was on my birthday, a Danhausen t-shirt, but the main Danhausen t-shirt was sold out at WWEshop.com. So I love this. No complaints, A+. Then we had Asuka versus Iyo Sky, settling this feud. I just realized this is their one and only. They've had this feud going for a while. And in WWE, they had been teamed before, and they had been fighting in tag matches against each other and interference, all that. But this apparently was their first singles match and their final singles match. And there was some complaining from me and other people saying, why wasn't this on WrestleMania? Iyo Sky deserved to be on WrestleMania at least. But then I saw it and I realized on WrestleMania, this might have gotten under 10 minutes, 6-7 minutes, or maybe 8 minutes. But here on Backlash, as one of only a few matches, it was able to go around the 20-minute mark, and it deserved that time. It got that time, and it used that time really well. There were some we want Kairi chants. And yeah, Kairi would have been good if she was part of this. But you know what? It made just Asuka and Iyo back and forth was great. I've never seen Iyo Sky do a submission move, but like Asuka had her in submission. She actually put on the Asuka lock at one point, and it was really good. She was like sort of learning from her master. And the best part of the match was when, for me anyways, was when they were on the announce table and Asuka goes to do the mist, but Iyo picks up Wade Barrett's notepad, which had no notes on it anyways, just as the mist is coming. The timing of that was excellent. Of course, these were both pros. Io's good at selling, doing the character. Asuka was doing her character perfectly. Like she was getting like rougher, she was getting rough with Iyo, and Iyo was just doing her thing, and eventually she ended up getting rough back. And the story told so brilliantly. Iyo eventually won, and then after that, Asuka just hugged her, and I mean, it was kind of like a character break. It could have been the end of the feud. People were talking maybe this was Asuka's final match, or she's semi-retired. I guess we'll find out on Raw if this was her last match, or at least last match for a while, or even just the end of the feud. You know, it was absolutely perfect. It was just what was needed. These were one of the like long-term, one of the best workers they had, best performers WWE's had in Asuka, and the current probably one of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the best, Iyo Sky, incredibly over. And this brought the house down. This was just truly excellent. Even the curtain call ending at the end made it make so much more sense, even though that was probably intended. Regardless of what happens with Asuka after, hope she sticks around. But I love this match. In-ring work, storytelling, the story building, crowd reaction, everything across the board. And the final grade for this, A+ match of the night. I mean, I also really enjoyed the Danhausen match, but this was definitely my match of the night. I loved it. A+. And then we had John Cena's special announcement, and I am just really glad it wasn't about Club WWE, just promoting that. That's another thing too. It might involve that at some point, but he's got, he's going to have an event where it's all people from NXT fighting main roster stars. And now a lot of the main roster stars are formerly people from NXT. So I guess it's the next crop of NXT. That's interesting. There's going to be an audience voting. I don't know if you have to pay and be a member of Club WWE to vote. Hopefully just anyone can vote. I wonder how that's going to work. If the victory or the loss doesn't matter more than what the fans think. I wonder, like, if you really think someone's a good heel, do you want to let them win it as a heel, but you don't want to cheer for them? It's kind of confusing. I'm wondering how this has me very intrigued, and I'm definitely interested to see that John Cena's, it seems like his post-retirement things, he's maybe getting involved with creative, and that's definitely interesting. We'll see where we go from there. At least it wasn't just another plug for the thing he's been plugging for a month already. At least it was something new, and I am intrigued by this. And, of course, John Cena set the stage for our main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. The champion Roman Reigns, the OTC, defended against challenger, the Samoan Werewolf, and member of his extended family, Jacob Fatu. This was paced like a Roman Reigns match. They, of course, went out of the ring. I mean, a bit of a slower start, but then it builds up, and then it gets wild. There's all this back and forth. There were a lot of false finishes. Like I knew that Roman was going to retain, but I was thinking, like, it really looks like Jacob might win at some point. This, you could tell from both parts, there was a lot of passion here. These guys are both over. I mean, the crowd was definitely behind Roman, but they also liked Jacob. So for a lot of the match, they were going Fatu, OTC, Fatu, the whole deal. And at one point, I was just expecting the ref bump and the Usos. There was a ref bump. The ref didn't stay down for too long, though. And he got back up, and it ended up being a clean victory for Roman Reigns with no interference or even anyone coming down to suggest interference to cause a distraction. So, that impressed me even more. Not only the fact that they just made it a clean match like the Roman Punk match, but that they actually they actually had a ref bump that resulted in no shenanigans. And, of course, after the match, Jacob attacked Roman, showing he's not done with him yet. Maybe they'll do another match. Maybe Jacob will be forced to acknowledge him, might get suspended. They chucked Adam Pearce out of the ring. In-ring work, excellent. A+. The stories, a bit of time to develop, and crowd, A+. In-ring storytelling, again, solid A to A+. Overall, I would give this match an A+, but I'm actually going to give it an A just to differentiate it from the other two matches, the Asuka and Iyo match and the funny Danhausen match. It was a really good main event for this show. I was really happy with it. Interested to see where we go from here. It obviously wasn't as good as Roman's last match against Punk, so that's why it's only getting the A. But still, I was very happy with this match, and I thought it was a great way to close out the card. And overall, I'd give Backlash 2026, Backlash Tampa, as an overall show, an A+. This was, I think it was better than each of the two nights of WrestleMania. Overall, WrestleMania as a package might be equal to this. I'm not really sure, but I'll reevaluate that maybe later at the year when I pick my PLEs of the year, like at the end of the year. But I was very satisfied. This was a really solid card, and I like it that WWE is getting back into the shorter cards, not as many ads, and just really solid matches. That's how I saw WWE Backlash 2026 from Tampa, Florida. Backlash Tampa. Do you agree with my takes? Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown, and WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos. Now, after this one, which is going to be on the podcast feed and the YouTube channel, I'm going to go back to my setup of my assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown and other stuff. Full thing on the podcast feed and just shorter clips on YouTube. But for this, I'm just going to put the whole thing up. Until then, till next time, for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.